Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and of course, over the weekend there was a couple of get-togethers that were somewhat challenging to each side. Is politics changing in the state of Oregon? Is the Republican Party changing in the state of Oregon? As you know, over the weekend, there was the 50th celebration of an annual event called Dorchester. And then out of that came another last-minute freedom rally that was put together up in Clackamas and ended up being quite successful, over 700 people in attendance. So what's happening? Well, today I am really honored to have back with us a good friend, Kevin Mannix. As you know, he ran for governor in the state of Oregon. He also served as chairman of the Oregon Republican Party, and he and I worked together on a lot of occasions, and honored to know him as a friend and as a colleague. And I thought today I'd have him weigh in on those two conferences, as he was a speaker at the Freedom Rally. So Kevin, good to see you and hear you, my friend. How you doing?
I am doing well. How are you, Perry?
Hey, doing okay. Doing okay. Yeah, we're in the fight like you are.
Yes.
Well, listen, you did speak at the Freedom Rally. What do you think's happening with Republican politics in the state of Oregon?
Well, I think what's happening is that conservative Republicans are finally understanding that we have a voice and that we insist on participating in the process, not as second-class citizens. For a couple of decades now, the so-called liberal Republicans or moderate Republicans, and they're really liberal Republicans, whom we've kept in the fold and the family, have always insisted that somehow their political approaches were superior, and and generally I'm talking about Republicans who look down on those of us who are social conservatives and think that the party should only deal with fiscal conservative policies and approaches, support free enterprise in the business community, but when it comes to social policy issues, somehow that should be second-class citizenship.
Right.
And I think what's happened is some of us have recognized that, we've always been willing to support the fiscal and business conservatives, and we expect some support in return, and not necessarily total agreement, but some support. And what happened with the Dorchester Conference, I think, was that, which is not an official Republican function, as you know, is that they pushed extra hard on the liberal side of things, where we conservatives have tried to be gentle about not pushing too hard on social policy issues, but standing by our positions. And what's happened now is we recognize, wow, there are a lot of folks who support us and agree with us, and we don't need to apologize for our positions.
Well, at the last minute, 700 people showed up at the Freedom Rally, and here it's the 50th anniversary of Dorchester. That's quite a statement, don't you think?
Yes, in fact, the Dorchester registered participation, as I read it, was about 650, a little over 650. And of course, there are other folks who participate and hang around. Certainly, groups that I represent have participated in Dorchester, and we enjoy the opportunity to get together with folks who are generally Republican from around the state at that unofficial gathering. But this time, Dorchester decided to celebrate Bob Packwood's stance in favor of abortion and to press forward on a gay marriage vote in an atmosphere which we thought the dice was loaded. And I'm talking some inside baseball here, but we just looked at it and said, we choose not to participate this year. Let's have a freedom rally, a conservative gathering, give folks a chance to hear from some speakers, and let's build up our organization. And we weren't gathering to be anti-Dorchester. We were gathering to be pro-conservative values.
All right. Now, when I saw the vote, it was about a 60-vote difference between, as far as passing that vote to support same-sex marriages. So 60 votes plus 700 on the other side supporting traditional marriage is quite a statement.
I think so. In fact, definitely so. And again, we decided we're not telling people not to go to Dorchester. We weren't engaging in a boycott. We were simply saying, hey, this time we have an alternative, And yes, we do speak with one voice. And by the way, when I look at the gubernatorial race results of recent years, the one thing that we need to respond to politically is this business that somehow conservative Republicans can't do well in statewide races and moderates can do better. When I ran for governor in 2002, I lost by 3%. There was a libertarian on the ballot who took 5%. I lost to Ted Kulongoski a 3% margin. All right, let's look at the next race where we had a moderate Republican running, Ron Saxton. He lost by 8%. Having a lot more money to spend, by the way, and I'm just saying that somehow being a moderate Republican from the Portland area does not automatically sell with the voters.
Right.
Chris Dudley, who had his record as a trailblazer, was a fine candidate. By the way, these are fine candidates. I'm not being critical of individually. I'm just talking about results. Again, a much more moderate to liberal Republican than I am, came close, but he still lost by 2%. And again, a former trailblazer from Portland, and he did not have a libertarian on the ballot to take 5% of the vote. So when I look at the results, I think that, for instance, now I'm already hearing, Dennis Richardson's a conservative Republican, and he's the likely nominee, and it's going to be tough. Well, yes, it will be a challenge, but not because he's a conservative Republican, because he's running against an incumbent Democrat who is a very good politician, Governor Kitzhaber. But it's not going to be close because Dennis Richardson is a conservative Republican.
All right, but on the other hand, with the failure of Cover Oregon, don't you think this thing's got a chance, a real chance?
Yes. This is the year, and I do think that this is the year to carry the message. We're not a banana republic where you continually have the same person in charge. Governor Kitzhaber, and I think personally, I work well with him and I respect him. I disagree with him on many issues. I'm not here to criticize him personally. I am here to say 3 terms is more than enough. In fact, we should change the Constitution to say no one gets to serve more than 2 terms, whether it's consecutive or not, as governor. He's had 12 years, not just 8 years. And when we take a look at the poverty rates, the unemployment rates, the graduation rates, and then you look at Cover Oregon, this state is not progressing the way that it should. It's not improving the way that it should, and he's been governor during this time. So it's time to say thank you and goodbye.
Kevin, yesterday there was a special election in Florida and a very highly contested race for Congress for a interim election there. The Republican won, and won substantially, in a very highly Democratic favored district. So it looks like this midterm trend could be very interesting. Do you think it's possible that the Republicans could take the House and the Senate in the state of Oregon?
Yes. And when we look at the Senate, it's 16-14. There's a couple of very competitive state Senate races, and the House is 34-26. But 4 of those seats were very, very tight races last time. I think that folks who are looking at these elections need to understand that this is a year for a turnaround, an opportunity to take a fresh perspective. And let me put it this way. I tell my Democrat friends who are from outside Portland, do you realize that what happens in politics is right now the Democrats control the House and the Senate. Who controls the Democratic caucus? Portland liberals.
Right.
So if you're a conservative or moderate Democrat from the rest of the state, understand that when you vote for a Democrat for the legislature, you're voting to let Portland liberals run the show, because they run the Democratic caucus runs the House and the Senate, and of course right now they've got the governorship. So you see, $300 million poured down the tube, federal dollars, but still, hey, it's our taxpayer dollars on a wasted project such as Cover Oregon, and the response is, we'll be more careful next time. Excuse me? This is a scandal of massive proportions in terms of absolute government failure, and the governor and the Democratic majority of the House and the Senate need to be held responsible. There is a chance for a turnaround here.
One last question. Do you think these traditional values, social issues will still be a consideration for a candidacy? Because I know you're a person of faith. I know where your strong beliefs are, and I certainly support that. But do you think we're going to be able to keep these issues in the fight?
Well, I think we can, but Perry, I need to say that in terms of trying to move forward and defend those values, we also need to have some allies who don't always agree with us on everything. And that means I'll be supporting Republicans that I don't think are as conservative as I am on faith-related values, but who are a lot better than Democrat candidates who are going in absolutely the opposite direction. And yes, it is a relative choice sometimes.
Right.
But then when you go to the federal Congress or our state legislature and you're able to sit down, you can make progress on some of these values issues with some folks who at least are working with you rather than against you.
Well, great stuff. Kevin, good to hear you and chat with you. Stay in touch, and we're in the fight together, so let's see if we can make a difference this go around.
It's a pleasure to visit with you. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate. God bless you and everyone out there in the audience.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Kevin Mannix with us this morning. We'll be right back.